what it sounds like, the way you're describing it, is like this is the visualization of the impact that retailers are having on the environment because they're selling these products.
That's right. And when we ran this report for nationwide as a whole for calendar year 2022, we came up with hundreds of thousands of metric tons of CO2 saved because our members sold Energy Star products. When I ran it for January through December, I mean, almost 400,000 metric tons of carbon dioxide gas were not put into the environment because of the sale of Energy Star products within nationwide.
Welcome into the Independent Thinking Podcast. This is your host, Rob Stott. This week on the podcast, we're dropping something during Earth Week, or Earth Day week, I guess you could call it. And it's not really Earth Week, per se. So April 22nd, of course, is Earth Day. And this year, it's some, exciting times around the world of clean energy and doing things, right on behalf of the environment in this world that we live in. And, we're coming off of a prime time where we were able to announce, really, I think for the first time ever, that, at the show that we had, that nationwide was recognized by the Energy Star program and the Environmental Protection Agency as, an Energy Star Partner of the Year, Sustained Excellence. 9th year in a row that, we've been honored with that award, 15th overall, in the Partner of the Year program. But, cool to be able to do that at prime time, and a neat opportunity as well for Kaleb Behm and the rest of the business team, who works on behalf of the Energy Star program, for them to be able to do that. So, following up on that, wanted to kind of keep the conversation rolling because there's a lot of cool things that, I'm learning about, and I know they are as well, stepping into the shoes of Mr. Weinberg, who retired at the end of the year last year, who really carried the mantle for that. So Kaleb and Frank Santner, picking that up and running with it, and they're doing an awesome job. And I know learning as much as, I think I'm learning a lot, but I know they're certainly in the weeds with this thing and finding something out every day about, the opportunities with this program for our members. And that's kind of where we get into today, or what we get into rather, with Kaleb and some of this scope 3 analysis. Might, that word or term on the surface might not mean a lot, but there's some really cool things that retailers can use that scope analysis for, in their own marketing materials around Energy Star. And I just wanted to dive into it because it's a neat opportunity and one that we wanted to make sure that, our members and independent retailers in general are aware of. So, that's what we did here today. On top of everything else, learning about the program and, some of the wrinkles that, we may not understand or know to this point, but, that we're finding out about every day. So I appreciate Kaleb doing that. So we're going to just dive into it. So this is Kaleb Behm of our business and financial services team here on the Independent Thinking Podcast. All right, we are back on the Independent Thinking Podcast, and we're coming off of prime time. Well, the timing of this is awesome. We're like in between prime time, and for you, Kaleb Behm, the marketing and project manager here at Nationwide Marketing Group, which there's a lot of projects. Well, one in particular that we're going to talk about today that's most important. But I know you got a busy plate, but the timing of this, we're in between prime time where we just came out of Dallas, and this week happens to be, as we're dropping this, Earth Day week. So this weekend, April 22nd. So perfect time to talk about that project that is taking up a lot of your plate, I know, and that's the Energy Star program. So before we get into all that, though, appreciate you jumping on and how things going.
Yeah, happy to be here, man. Things are great. Busy as always. I think everybody at Nationwide can attest to that. Everybody's busy, but we're working hard, and it's been great.
It's awesome. And we'll talk about yourself a little bit. Your background, your role, because the marketing and project manager stuff a little bit new, right? So you kind of switched things up a little bit here recently.
Yeah, so I've been with Nationwide for a little over 3.5 years now, and I've worn many hats. I like to say I was brought on and worked a lot with inventory finance and retail credit. Worked a lot with credit card processing and lease to own. And about a year and a half ago or so, I started taking on a lot more responsibility within the Energy Star program. Just working with these projects that we have within Energy Star, and trust me, there's a lot of them. Trying to keep them all straight is is a project itself.
No, that's awesome. Well, I mean, to talk about that a little bit, the ability to put those different hats on, is that, I mean, has it been fun for you to kind of go around and see different parts of the, I mean, it's really the business and financial services side, but to see sort of all the different ways that that department kind of works?
Oh yeah. So I mean, within business services, I've worked on a whole bunch of different programs, and I think a lot of people at Nationwide wear a lot of different hats, and that's the best way to learn about this type of industry, because there's just so many nooks and crannies within the independent retail channel that you can't put on one hat and expect to learn everything about the business. And so it's been enlightening for sure. But to say that I've been drinking from a fire hose for the last 3.5 years is a bit of an understatement.
No, I got you, man. And well, the funny thing too is, right, like you haven't even touched really the, I mean, in a way, you really haven't touched the merchandising side, like like it's more than just the product transaction, right? Clearly,
Right.
because you've been working for 3.5 years in this business, and it's, I mean, you haven't really talked about a product program from a merchant necessary, or from a vendor partner necessarily. So I mean, it's kind of just goes to show how, it's not this. This is not a simple industry,
No,
to say
by
the
no
least.
means. No.
No, that's awesome. Well, you talk about Energy Star and kind of everything you're learning from there. I know, not too long ago we had, as he was getting ready to sunset his career, Rick Weinberg. So I imagine you kind of talk about that transit. Well, first of all, enormous shoes to fill. I know him and I were roughly the same height, so I don't know shoe size specifically, but I feel like they are massive shoes that you're filling there
The
for kind of what
figurative
he did.
shoes,
Yeah, right.
figurative shoes are enormous. Yes. So I about a year and a half ago, I started taking over or shadowing with Rick Weinberg, who, if you don't know Rick Weinberg, that's a guy to know in the independent retail channel. He has been in every role at Nationwide just about, and he's crushed all of them. And man, I learned so much from him. I got to learn a lot about not just Energy Star, but how the independent channel kind of works, because he spent a lifetime just about as a retailer, a lifetime just about with Nationwide. And man, when you put those two things together, there's nothing that he didn't know about the business just about. And Energy Star in particular, within Nationwide, we wouldn't probably even have an Energy Star program if it weren't for him. He kind of pioneered it within Nationwide and got us where we are now, which is, a great channel that spans dozens of states and brings in millions of dollars in revenue for members. And we pay that money back to the members. And it's just he was a great person to learn from, and taught me a whole lot.
No, that's I mean, the opportunity, I feel like a year and a half might not even be enough time to shadow for everything he's done with this Energy Star program. Cause I mean, he basically was Mr. Energy Star for Nationwide. And, picking up that mantle, what's it been like? And, I mean, you kind of have an idea, I think, as you watch sort of what he did and, the program itself. And there's an understanding of what Energy Star is, but like, is there anything that's, surprised you or kind of piqued your interest about this program since you've, taken charge of it?
Yeah, I mean, but the whole entire thing is kind of surprising. I mean, the basis of what we do is that a lot of utility providers are willing to pay incentives to decrease their strain on their utility grid, and that alone, that's the whole concept of what I do. And I had no idea. That just seems counterproductive. But a lot of these utilities have requirements from the state or federal government where they either have to like sustain their utility usage or even decrease it by 1 or 2%. And a great way that they do that is they work with the independent channel through us to actually pay these incentives to members. And some of them can be with these new products coming out, like heat pump water heaters. Some of them can be up to $700 a unit to the consumer, sometimes hundreds of dollars to the member, just to sell these Energy Star units. And that alone, which is the whole crux of the Energy Star program within Nationwide, that alone was surprising to me.
No, I mean, I'm sure you're learning a lot every day too, because well, now you get to be like that liaison between Nationwide and the government. So I'm sure there's like trade secrets you can't really tell us, or they're letting you in, or you have to like off me, and then we wouldn't have a podcast anymore.
Yeah, exactly. We don't want
But
that.
no, no, it's cool to see that, because I know, I mean, they've got some awesome people over there. So to be able to have someone like Dan Cronin, who we just had on this podcast not too long ago, I mean, I'm sure you're learning a lot from them every day too. Not even just about those programs and the opportunities, but sort of just how they operate this program, this Energy Star program.
Yeah, that whole team that we work with over there is awesome. Dan Cronin has been a great resource, especially for me, because like I said, this up until a year and a half ago was something I hadn't even heard of, and he's been a great resource, along with Rick Weinberg and Frank Santner, who have been great resources for me to learn a lot about the Energy Star program and how it kind of works, not just within the independent channel, but as a whole.
No, and I mean, talk about an opportunity to come together too. Dallas, we mentioned it at the top, and uh, big announcement there. That's where we say big. It's kind of like you don't want to say it's expected at this point because I know all of the work that goes into it. Like when we say we've won our 9th Energy Star Partner of the Year Sustained Excellence Award, like yeah, that's another year, another tick in our cap, feather in our cap for that. But like there is a massive amount, as I'm sure you know more about it than I do, but the amount of work that goes into that application and that process to be able to announce. So what was that like to be able to announce that at prime time? And I know we walked around and delivered as well. We had some other partners, vendor partners that were with us that had we found out that morning, literally shoving the papers into the
Yeah,
frames as we found out who won to be able to deliver those to them.
yeah, it was a really interesting experience because for those that don't know, when they give the Partner of the Year award, there's a communications embargo, so you can't talk about it until everybody's able to talk about it. Which for us happened to be at 9 a.m. on the second day of the show. What a coincidence, right? So we got to get the list of winners, and we actually got to honor some of our vendor partners as well, and that was Beko, Bosch, Electrolux, LG, and Samsung. And because Nationwide does a lot with Energy Star, but Rob, you and I don't sell Energy Star appliances. We
Right.
work on behalf of the independent retailers, and we work in between the retailers and the manufacturers. So we do a lot of work within Energy Star, but we couldn't do it without the members and without the vendor partners. And so we wanted to make sure that we didn't take all the credit for this because, like I said, you and I don't own a retail store. We work through the vendors and through their retailers, and so we wanted to make sure that they knew that we are appreciative that they build and sell these Energy Star products, because that without them doing that, the members couldn't sell them. Without the members selling them, we couldn't have won this award for the 9th time.
Yeah, 9th time in a row, 15th time, 16th time overall, 15th or 16th. It's getting up there.
Something like
It's
that, yeah.
it's in the mid-teens.
Yeah,
So yeah,
losing
old enough.
track. Yeah,
Right. But I first time too, I believe that we were able to announce it during prime. Like usually, I mean, a couple things happen, right? Prime time was a little bit later this time around. Usually we're in like mid-February or so, and we're late March, and then the Energy Star announcement isn't usually until May, like after
right.
Earth Day, and that being so early this year, like everything, the stars aligned, and it was really cool to be able to, run around the show floor literally for like 20 minutes
Yeah,
trying to find
yeah, it
the
was
right people.
awesome.
It was a
It was
great time.
awesome. I mean, it was the perfect storm. We got to go in, and like I said, we got to thank them in person, not just sending an email or phone call or anything. We got to go and talk to the merchants within those vendors and actually thank them for their work. And you could tell that they were really excited and really happy. And you can tell also that a lot of these manufacturers, it's a real thing that they try to do. It's not just checking a box for them. They actually really do want to build these products. They do want to have an impact on the environment in a positive way.
Yeah, absolutely. And beyond the award, because I obviously that was a big mark, kind of a nice way to cap off the show, right? It was that second day in the morning. Um, but you mentioned the heat pump water heater. I know that we had one at prime time. So
Yeah.
talk about the experience beyond the award presentation. What was it like to be there, for the program and in that booth, and what kind of questions were you getting?
Yeah, I mean that heat pump water heater is really really cool. I mean, as far as an appliance can be cool, right? But it's really interesting because Frank, who was actually in the booth with me, he has the same water heater, but it's just a regular electric, and his electric bill per year, if he had the same size in the heat pump water heater, would have been a quarter or a third or something like that. The energy savings are astronomical, and that's why these utilities and these local, federal, state governments are offering these massive incentives, because we're in a world where we're trying to decrease the strain on utilities. That's the way to do it, is to get these in and out and get them into the homes. And this product is really cool. It's got a lot of features. Where we've Nationwide just partnered with Reliance, and that's the brand that we had in the booth, and it caught a lot of eyes because people see the water here and like, what the heck is that
Yeah.
big cylinder on top of it? I mean, it was really cool, and a lot of people asked a lot of good questions, and we drew a lot of eyes to the booth.
Yeah, that's awesome. And not typically a booth that has product in it. So to be able to,
Exactly.
again, you talk about stars aligning, the whole Inflation Reduction Act that I know Frank, it was like the launch of his at least decade long campaign around this IR Inflation Reduction Act and everything that's going to go along with it. But then to be able to have a product in the booth with you to talk about, it was pretty neat. Like all that timing coming up together as well. So
Exactly.
a really cool experience there in Dallas.
Yeah, it was just the perfect storm because we had just signed. I mean, it couldn't have been 2 weeks since we had signed the agreement with Reliance, and they agreed to send us a product to have in the booth, and it really was that perfect storm, like you said.
So obviously, this work, it extends beyond the application period and getting this award. There's so much that goes into it, and I know part of it, just to sort of transition to kind of the things we find out and that we're able to talk about. I know, specifically on the surface, when you say scope 3, that might not mean a lot to a retailer or one of our members or a listener here, but talk about that a little bit, because that's something that I know you're diving into right now as it relates to the Energy Star program and what that means.
Yeah, so one of the big things that we utilize when we apply for Partner of the Year, which, like you said, is not just, we don't just go check a box. Yes, I'd like to apply. It's a 10-page application where we have to prove what we've done over the past 12 months, and how we've been a Partner of the Year for sustained excellence. And one of the things that we started using maybe 2 years ago is this Scope 3 analysis. And basically, what this does is it measures your Scope 3 emissions and how they impact the environment, and how the sale of Energy Star products has decreased that company's strain on the environment. And Scope 3 emissions are basically carbon dioxide emissions that are the result of business activities not done by the business itself, but kind of as a result of the business. So in this case, the sale of appliances and how those appliances would be used by the end consumer. And basically, what it does is it compares similar products within the Energy Star category to ones outside the Energy Star category, and quantifies and visualizes the carbon dioxide savings created by selling these Energy Star products. And the savings are massive within Nationwide. We're a huge champion of Energy Star. We have been for quite some time, and this tool really helps us to, like I said, quantify it and visualize it. So
The
I
cool, the
mean,
cool, no, sorry to cut you off, but because we had a similar conversation, Dan and I, on that previous episode where, he's like, it's hard to visualize sort of the impact you're having, like, but it came up then, the ozone layer came up and how it's healing, and like that obviously relates back to the energy efficiency and things like that. But this tool, what it sounds like, the way you're describing it, is like, this is the visualization of the impact that retailers are having on the environment because they're selling these products. Like,
exactly.
so when you say it, well, how can I really see what impact I'm having, just by selling these products? If a customer asks, like, this is the way you tell them, like, this
Right.
is what this tool gives them, that real world visualization of the impact that selling Energy Star products has.
That's right. And when we ran this report for Nationwide as a whole for calendar year 2022, we came up with hundreds of thousands of metric tons of CO2 saved because our members sold Energy Star products. I mean,
Hmm.
when I ran it for January through December, I mean, almost 400,000 metric tons of carbon
Wow.
dioxide gas were reduced or not put into the environment because of the sale of Energy Star products within Nationwide. And like I said, Rob, you and I don't sell these products. This
Right.
is from the members selling them and our manufacturer partners creating them. And I mean, we couldn't do it without them. And this tool really helps you to visualize what that means, because
Yeah.
I could say almost 400,000 metric tons of CO2, and you say, oh, cool,
That
awesome. What
sounds
does
like a
that
lot.
even mean? Yeah, it sounds like a lot. But I mean, this tool allows us to translate that into, to put it easy, dollars and cents, like what this would mean to the real world. And what we've, as Nationwide and our members have sold, what we've done is we've reduced, with just in the calendar year 2022, the CO2 emissions we've reduced is the equivalent of, I got it right here on my other screen, 873 million miles driven by an average gas powered passenger vehicle.
Wow.
I mean, that's real world application. that's Nationwide being able to say, this is what our members have done. This is how you can visualize what we've done. And I mean, this tool can tell you everything about gallons of gasoline consumed equivalencies, tanker trucks worth of gasoline, all the way down to number of smartphones charged, which is 43 billion smartphone charges from
Wow.
0 to 100%. So that's a little bit of an unwieldy comparison, but that's one that a lot of people can relate to, is that, you know, these miles driven by a passenger vehicle and these smartphones charged because of these CO2 emissions reduced.
That's insane. So what I want to try to do this math real quick, because
Okay.
the mileage is a lot. Right? You said it
Yeah.
was 873 million miles. Is that right?
873 million miles
Three.
driven by an average gas powered vehicle.
Okay, so 873. It's roughly 24,901 miles around the Earth. So 24,901. That is roughly 35,058.8 trips around Earth in one calendar year. That's a lot.
Yeah.
That's a lot of trips.
Exactly. And just like you just did, Rob,
Yeah.
this metric shows you these visualizations, and then there's a lot of creativity that can be brought into it.
Yeah.
And it the in the past, we've only been able to kind of talk about the sale and the number of units and things like that. But this tool really allows us to be more creative and to really get our hands around what this actually means.
So, I mean, you kind of, I'm pretty sure you touched on this, but just to ask again for kind of clarification, how are we calculating that information?
Yeah, so we calculate this, or you know, I calculate this by taking the total number of units within the Energy Star category. So whether they're Energy Star or not, but you know, using those, for example, clothes washers or clothes dryers or air conditioners or things like that, and taking the total number of units that could have been Energy Star compared to the total number of units that were Energy Star, and taking that percentage of the total number of units and putting that through this tool and spitting out these numbers.
Gotcha. So we have the total. I imagine, you know, on the retailer level, this is something, you know, they could find out sort of what their individual impact was as well.
Yeah. So one thing we really are interested in trying to do is using this information gained from this tool for members to be able to use in their marketing campaigns or within their local market, because I know a lot of our members are in markets where, you know, energy conservation and environmental protection are really important to their consumers. And
Yeah.
so it's a really cool opportunity for a member to say, we not only sell Energy Star, we care about selling Energy Star, and this is how I can show you how much we care about selling these Energy Star units. We're reducing by, you know, we're reducing emissions by, some of these members that we've worked with have done, you know, thousands of metric tons themselves in carbon emission reductions. And that's just a great story to be able to tell, because it's not, you know, this is not an easily accessed tool. So we kind of have a little bit of an early access to it and a little bit of a tight grip around it, so that we can give our members a little bit of an edge if they're interested in, you know, pursuing this as a marketing campaign.
Heck yeah. Well, so I ask it, you know, it's something that they can. It turns out there are members that have.
Yeah, so we've worked with a couple of our larger members and found that one of them actually, for calendar year 2022, based on their sales, they reduced carbon emissions themselves by almost 6,400 metric tons, which
Wow.
is, you know, that number alone is great. That's a significant portion of our total as a company. And another great thing about this tool is that it allows members that maybe aren't doing 6,400 metric tons a year, but maybe doing 500 metric tons a year, 1,000. It allows them to kind of see that, yeah, you know, maybe I'm not doing as many units as these bigger guys, but I'm still having a dramatic impact on this initiative and this goal.
No, that's awesome. And I mean, you know, it's kind of neat because you talk about the things that matter to consumers. And you know, I always, I hate to get in the weeds on generational conversations, but you know, and you see a lot of the discussion around what younger consumers and, you know, people like me and you, right? We're still in that young
Yeah,
consumer phase, right? We can still talk like that. We're
sure.
millennials, maybe not Gen Z or whatever, but you know, they care about the, you know, at the top, near the top, or at the top of their list of what they care about in a brand is, you know, some of that social and environmental impact, right? So being
Exactly.
able to actually visualize for them or message to them, you know, that you're you care about it, right? That you're
Yeah.
making concerted efforts to have an impact on the environment as a retailer, and share that message with them, that maybe gives them a reason, like, hey, as opposed to going to that big box down the store where, they don't talk about this as much, or they're not promoting it this way, kind of gives you a leg up in that conversation with them. So neat to see a tool like not, and then too, you mentioned the opportunity to look at sort of the impact they are having. So yeah, there's the external message to your customers, and then internally you can see, all right, well, here's the impact we're having. Maybe how can we improve? How, if we want to have more of an impact and make this a real mission of the business, they can use this tool and sort of the information that gets spit out at them, and say, all right, well, let's see if we can't, use this as a goal for next year as their own business, and try to drive, greater impact on the environment, and in turn, the Energy Star program.
Exactly. And you kind of hit the nail right on the head there. We would love, I mean, a great result of this project would be to be able to have the same members, for the next 2 or 3 years come to us and say, what did we do last year? What's it look like this year? What did we do this year? What's it going to look like next year? And things like that. So we while yes, this can be a good short-term visualization, the end goal that we would like to see, at least, is that members really take this to heart and actually use this year over year and make comparisons and make even goals for next year. Because we can always look at units, we can always look at number of sales of Energy Star products, but this here, especially as products get more and more efficient and create less and less carbon emissions, it's a great goal to be able to, it's a great way to be able to set a goal to say, next year I reduced 6,400 metric tons. Next year let's hit 6,500. Next year let's hit 6,600, something like that. And that's kind of the whole point of this, is not to look just in the short term, but to use this for long-term goals as well.
No, that's awesome. Well, so sort of simply and logistically, if a member wanted to go about getting it, I mean, is it as simple as contacting you guys, or what sort of needed to get the ball rolling for them to find this information out?
Yeah, so we're going to try and make this a little bit more accessible within our membership. But right now, the best way to do it would be to just reach out to me. I mean, we work on so many different projects, but this one is a really one that's really near and dear to us, because this is, like I said, this is the way that a member can see the direct impact of their Energy Star sale. So if you reach out to me, we'll set up a time. We could set up a short meeting to discuss your goals, to discuss what you think about this tool, and what you're looking to get out of it. And then I can actually run the numbers for you, and usually have a pretty quick turnaround. And that way you can get this information within your company and then out to the consumers as well.
Oh, that's awesome. And we love it. And I know we'll be using some of this info, in-house as well to promote sort of the impact that, we could say that Nationwide has had, but really it's that our members have had. Because I love the one number I used to love that Rick would always share. And I know it always floats around that, like 50% of all appliance sales that could be Energy Star are Energy Star, I think is the right way to phrase that. So, I mean, it's a great number, but what I love about it is that means there's still 50% more that could be, sold as Energy Star. So there's always room for improvement, right? So we can challenge ourselves to challenge our members to then, have that greater impact on the environment. So lots of cool
Exactly.
stuff.
And one thing I've learned a lot about these independent retailers is that they're competitive, right? They want to be better than not just everybody else, but better than themselves.
Yep.
And they want to get better every year. And this is just a great opportunity for them to do that. To say, yeah, Nationwide did about 50% Energy Star units that could have been Energy Star were. Maybe next year let's go for 50.5. Next year let's go for 51. Just like I said, I mean, people want to be better than they were last year, and this is a great way to visualize that and the impact that goal is having.
No, that's fantastic. And a cool message too. And I look forward to, seeing it continue, and you continue your shoe size, well, your foot size continue to grow into those shoes that Rick left for you to try to fill. So I got high hopes, and seeing kind of what happened in Dallas and looking ahead to Nashville and everything in between. We got faith, man. You're doing a great job. So we appreciate everything you're doing, and look forward to continuing to help you pump that message as well. So
awesome. Team effort for sure.
Heck yeah. So, Nashville, we're like 4 months out already somehow. So we'll, I
It's
know we're
sneaking up on us. I feel like we just left Dallas.
momentum is building all very quickly. So we'll,
Right.
can't wait to see what you guys bring to the table there. And until then, look forward to, like I said, helping you push this message out and for our members as well. So it's a really cool thing you guys are doing.
Yeah, definitely.
Awesome. And thanks again to Kaleb. Fun conversation. Like I said, need to kind of dive into the different aspects of this Energy Star program and learn, about the different ways. Obviously it's the act of selling Energy Star appliances is at the heart of this, but the different ways you can find out that, you can actually visualize the impact as a retailer that you're having on the environment, through your store and through your Energy Star sales, I think is, cool for you. We talked about the challenges or the opportunity to challenge yourself to, grow in that area, but then also to be able to market that to your customers and, your community about the impact that you're having on the environment as a retailer. So just a lot of really cool opportunities, and appreciate Kaleb for sharing those. And as always, appreciate you listening to the Independent Thinking Podcast, and we'll catch you next time.